Welcome to the Business of Apparel podcast. This is the place to learn how to start and scale your own apparel brand and fill it with loyal customers for years to come. I'm your host, Rachel Erickson, owner and CEO of Unmarked Street, and I can't wait to share this episode with you. Welcome back to the Business of Apparel podcast, where today I'm going to use a little bit of a personal story to talk about contracts and how important they can be for your business. In the apparel industry, we call lots of different things contracts. One thing we really want you to make sure that you have in place is a vendor agreement contract with your factory or your manufacturer, spelling out how you guys are going to work together, what happens if things go south, especially with your product creation, if there are quality issues, if things aren't on time, what are the agreements that you're going to put in place? How is that all going to work? We also consider your tech pack your contract. You might not be signing your tech pack with like actual ink or putting your name on it or anything like that, but sending a tech pack to your manufacturer is spelling out exactly what you expect to see in your garment. So one of the key things about those two pieces of contracts that we expect you or want you to have inside your apparel business is that everything is put down in writing and everyone agrees to it. So many of you know, my husband and I moved back to Colorado last year. We're almost actually a year. We left like on June 6th or something like that last year. So we're almost up to a full year back in Colorado. And we chose to find a rental house to be in while we were kind of figuring out where we wanted to move to a little bit more permanently. So we sold our home in Santa Cruz, California. We ended up moving out here. We tried to figure out if there was a way to like sell and then buy all at the same time. And for those of you who have done that in the past, like huge kudos to you. It is a daunting, very stressful task just to do one or the other. And so we wanted to split them up into like two different total time frames, two different total projects, because selling the house was enough. Trying to figure out how to coordinate all the timing and then move into a new house that we were trying to buy was just too tough for us at the time. Work has always been demanding for the both of us. And so again, we chose to come out here and rent. So I came out here for a weekend. I stayed with a friend and ended up finding a house that we were pretty happy with. This one that I'm sitting in right here. It was a little bit, different than exactly what we wanted, but it ended up being a new construction home. So it had never been lived in before. So we take very, very good care of it. We're making sure to clean it all the time and take really good care of the floors because I know that's something like the owner really wanted. We got a lot of great stuff in writing in that upfront contract, but the path forward, if we weren't going to need to stay for a longer, we got a lot of good stuff in writing in that rental contract, but the path forward, if we wanted to stay in the house past that first year, was a little muddy as I'm now just going back through it. We had reached out to our landlord in December to let them know that we actually decided to do our own new construction project. For any of you who are in the housing market right now, I don't know if you find this as well. My husband and I have done several different new construction builds as we've kind of been navigating the housing market whenever we moved to a new place. If we found ourselves in the situation to be able to buy, we ended up finding that new construction options, especially like kind of the cookie cutter ones, right? Where you like pick your plan and pick your lot and then they basically build like something that is just standard for them. They've got all the blueprints already done. You get to pick out like the interior finishings, but it kind of is what it is. We always found that those ended up being a lot more affordable than trying to move into someone else's pre-owned home. And so we've done this a few different times now. It's part of the reason why like the warranty process that our landlord is going through, we've been very understanding of, and we've been making sure to like help him out as people need to come in and make sure that all of the warranty stuff is taken care of because we've been through that a couple times ourselves. Anyway, we've decided to, embark in another one of those projects here. We plan to be probably moving into the new home late this year. We're looking at probably November. And so in December of last year, we had let our landlord know what we were planning to do. We were getting ready to sign some paperwork and we were getting ready to get going on choosing all of our like finishings and all of that kind of stuff for the new home. And when we discussed it, we kind of said, okay, we're just going to go month to month when the year ends. And you guys let us know. And we basically said at the time, like, we'll do a huge favor for you. We'll give you as much notice as we can. The new build is supposed to be giving us 60 days notice. And we wanted to really take our time moving out. So we wanted to take like 1 to 2 extra months to just move. And this move is pretty close. We're not like moving really far away, but we've been through so many moves over our marriage. This is actually going to be, I think, the 13th home that we'll be in over the 15 years that we've been together. And so we really wanted to take our time this time. We wanted to like slowly be able to take just like a load over in the car and then unpack it and then come back over and bring the boxes back over so that we could refill them up instead of feeling like we had to rush it. And so we were going to be giving them like anywhere from a 2 to 4 month notice of moving out, which we thought was very ample. We even and so at the time we all kind of said verbally on the phone, cool, like we'll just figure out how to make it work. Like keep us updated on the construction timing, which we haven't really gotten an update since then. Like even when I check back in, they all still kind of say it's all tentative until we know for sure. And right now you're slotted for November, which is the same information that we had last year. And so last week, I got a notice from our landlord basically saying, I'm no longer comfortable with you going month to month. I'd like for you to sign another full year lease. And this really frustrated me because a full year is going to be us potentially being on the hook for anywhere from 6 to 7 months of rent that we're not going to need. And I mean, legally binding that we would have to pay that rent, right? Like he could, if we choose not to pay it because we don't need it, or we sign this 1-year lease and for some reason he can't find a new tenant, like that's a lot of money out of our pocket for something that we don't actually need. So we've been trying to negotiate back and forth with him about like what could actually work for everybody. And what I wanted to kind of portray on the podcast today and give you some advice on in the way of your business or your life, or honestly, anything that you're doing that is important or could have legal ramifications in any way, is that I wish I could go back in time to December and put just a recap in writing of what we had discussed on the phone. And I know better. Like I've been doing contracts. I have been bit in the butt so many different times by not putting things in writing. I decided to trust our landlord. I decided to trust him. And I just wish that I would have followed my instincts to put everything in writing so much sooner, that we had agreed to go month to month, because I feel like I would have a little more legs to stand on at this point where he's trying to get us to sign a full year lease. Are you sick of being stuck on the sidelines of the apparel industry and you just want to be put in the game? Then join our 100% free workshop, Secrets Behind Billion-Dollar Apparel Brands, and learn the strategies, tactics, and secrets used by the most successful companies in the world. We'll cover everything from setting your brand standards to big brand line planning and executive level processes. In this workshop, you're going to learn how to name your target customer, rationalize your line, calculate product margins, roll up your revenue, and see potential profits while figuring out how to build a unique calendar for your brand. You're going to learn that and so much more. Are you ready to take your apparel business to the next level? Sign up today and use code PODCAST for a 10% discount on the full Business of Apparel online course or any of our mini courses after the workshop. Visit www.thebusinessofapparel.com/secrets to register. Don't miss out. The alternative is that we might get evicted or kicked out of this house sooner than we need, and we're not quite sure what that's going to look like for us, right? Like either we're going to have to move twice in like a 4-month period. So we're going to get basically asked to leave this location. I don't actually think it's going to lead to eviction. We're not like not paying our rent or we're not doing anything, but we're actually like model tenants. I don't actually think you could find better tenants than we are, but so there's no reason for him to actually evict us, but he could absolutely say like, we need you guys to move out by this certain time. And so we might have to find a new place to move to, and then 3 or 4 months later be moving into the new house. Or we might have to put all of our stuff in storage and then figure out how to live in and out of hotels or Airbnbs for 3 or 4 months. We could maybe stay with some friends, but we also want to stay friends with our friends. We don't want to like put them out and make them sick of us over 3 or 4 months. So we're trying to brainstorm what it is that we can and should do. We are still arguing for what we feel is like the best thing for us. And I would say something that I've learned, of course, to do as the CEO of my company is to be persistent and diligent in asking for what you want in any deal. And so I'm not giving up on this until we come to an agreement. I think that is a win-win really for everybody. So we're trying to work on that with him right now. But again, I just really, really wish that I had put something down in writing that I could now go back to and refer to. I don't anticipate this getting ugly or anything like that, but if we were to ever have to go a legal route, or we would ever have to go to civil court with this guy, it would be a lot better if I had put all that stuff in writing. I've talked about this a little bit on Money Mondays too, but the other thing that I want you to know about contracts is if you ever get a contract that you're not 100% happy with. Like if there's a single word in that contract that you want to change because you're uncomfortable with whatever that term means, you really should negotiate that. You can do what's called redlining, where you can basically ask the person who gave you the contract to change whatever it is that you want to change. And it's up to them to say yes or no, of course. Like if that's a very important word for them to keep in the contract for a reason, they might not be willing to change it. And then you have to decide whether you're okay signing it or not. But don't put your signature on any contract that you're not 100% comfortable with. And if you can't come to a negotiation or a term with anybody that makes you both feel comfortable to sign that contract, you should probably be walking away from that deal. Like when we put out contracts for freelancing and consulting with our clients, we go back and forth with some of them on redlining certain things, adding certain things. And it's always up to my discretion and whoever I'm negotiating with, whether or not that next change is workable for everybody. And if it's not, then we either need to figure out what is workable, or is this just not going to work for us? Are we not going to be able to work together because we can't agree on these terms? And a lot of times there are really good ways to find win-win compromises and to get things into contracts to make sure that everybody is very comfortable. I don't actually think we've gotten to a point in any contract over the last 4 years that caused us to have to walk away from a deal. So there are always ways to work things out. And usually someone's requests in the way of changing things in a contract can be very, very reasonable. A lot of times people will ask me to either take things out or add things or elaborate on something a little bit more. And usually I'm like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I have no problem adding that or changing that. But what I want you to be clear on is that if you do ever put your signature on a piece of paper that you're not 100% comfortable with, you are legally bound to the terms of what you just signed to. I think when I did Money Mondays on this, I was talking about a movie that we had just watched, and the woman at the end like negotiated this amazing deal, and she was like going to get a promotion, and she was going to get this money, and she was going to be asking for like a whole bunch of different extra things than what they were originally willing to offer her. So this original contract was like slid across the table, very cinematically. And she does all of this negotiation. She's a freaking badass about negotiating it. They agreed to give it to her. And then she puts her signature on the original document in the movie. And I was like, what? No way. Like, why would you do that? You just spent all this time negotiating, getting verbal agreement that they would add that for you. What she should have done is slid that contract back across the table to them and said, I will sign this when you put in all of those new terms. Like, let's get this document updated. And you are absolutely within your rights to do that as many times as you need in a contract negotiation. I know I had a really big client, one of the first clients that I ever brought on here at Unmarked Street. They were a really big brand and they had a very robust legal team. And so we went back and forth, I think 10 or 11 different times, making sure that the terms were agreeable between everybody. I got on a phone with a lawyer a couple different times just to make sure I understood exactly what it was that they were wanting to put into the contract. And we finally came to mutual terms and we got signed. And I'm actually still working with that client, but it was within both of our rights to completely go back and forth like that until everybody was happy. And nobody really wanted to put signatures on paper until we were at that point. And so a couple of things about contracts. Number one, they are very important for you in your business, making sure anything that you need to be solidified in writing, that anything that could ever become a legal issue. I mean, we all hope it won't, right? We all hope that we won't end up in court for any reason at any point. If there is something that could land you there though, I really recommend that you get something in writing. Even if there's not signatures on paper, whether it's an e-signature or whether it's an actual ink signature, even if that's not there, the fact that you have something in writing can be so much more powerful than just it's his word against mine if we go to court because we only had a verbal agreement. Trusting people to honor verbal agreements or even to remember exactly what the conversation was can be really, really difficult, right? Like I might remember that conversation in December with my landlord differently than he does. And so maybe that's why we're having a little bit of a dispute here, because we both feel like we came away from that conversation with different terms and nobody ever put it in writing. So we didn't confirm with each other. And again, that's on me. That's my fault. I absolutely should have gotten all of that in writing. I know better. The other thing I want you to remember is that you shouldn't be signing anything that you are not 100% comfortable with. And if you need to speak to a lawyer to make sure that you understand anything, reach out. It's an important time to do that. It can be really important for your business to make sure that you have all the proper documentation in place, you know, everything that's going on with your clients or with your manufacturers or with your suppliers. If you're questioning anything, don't hesitate to put it in writing. And it can just be an email. A lot of times with the supplier, it can just be, these are the terms that we want. We want net 60 payments and we want delivery within 90 days. I don't know. I'm just making things up. But if that's something that's really important to you to make sure that they're hitting that timing, send it in an email. If you need it to be a document and you need them to sign it, ask them to do so. If they say no, ask them what they're willing to do. A lot of people have been asking us about NDAs too. Like, when I'm sending a tech pack over to a manufacturer, do I ask them to sign an NDA so they don't copy my garment? And you absolutely can. A lot of manufacturers and a lot of suppliers receive NDAs because brands want to make sure that they don't copy their designs. That's not unusual. I don't think it's always necessary. I will say that we were actually talking to a client the other day who was asking about sending an NDA to her new manufacturer, and her product is so... We were actually talking to a client the other day who was asking about sending an NDA to their new manufacturer. And we told her we didn't really think that she would need one, but if it would make her feel more comfortable, she should absolutely do that. If you're making a product that isn't super, super unique or doesn't come from like a big name brand, a lot of times I don't feel like you need to have an NDA. But if it makes you feel more comfortable, do what makes you feel comfortable. This is your company. It's your product line. It's your legal rights. It is your situation on the line if anything were to go south. So do what makes you feel good. But again, don't sign it if it doesn't make sense for you at the end of the day. Just real quick, you guys all know I'm not a lawyer. This is just my best advice as a business owner and as someone who has been getting into a little bit of a personal sticky situation because I didn't have a contract extension in hand or in writing with my landlord. And we're just kind of in the middle of a mess right now trying to figure that out. Don't let yourself get into the same situation. Learn from my mistakes. Do better, do as I say, not as I do. And I will be better as I move forward in the future too. I'll make sure to always be getting things in writing. I probably will never make this mistake again. It's just been enough. So if you liked this episode or if this was helpful to you in any way, please share it with a friend. And if you get a chance, please write us a review. We love to hear from our community. If you have comments and you're watching here on YouTube, please put them below. And I'm always checking on them to make sure that I respond in a timely manner. Have a great week ahead, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening to the Business of Apparel podcast. I would so appreciate hearing your thoughts on the show. And if you know someone who could benefit from it, please share it with them. My biggest desire is to help other apparel professionals understand the nuances of our industry so we can all work toward making better product for a better world. If you would like to connect further, I'd love to invite you to send me a message through my website, thebusinessofapparel.com, where I do weekly trainings through my YouTube video channel, a weekly newsletter, blog articles, and so many more resources to help you start and scale a profitable apparel brand. This podcast is produced by Box 7 Media, who I cannot speak highly enough of. If you're looking to start your own podcast, you can reach out to Jeremy at Box 7 Media on LinkedIn anytime.